Happy Monday, everyone. This is Kimberly Beer here with Make It Happen Monday. One thing you can do this week to better market your business. And I'm going to start off this episode by telling you how much I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me while I took a little bit of a hiatus to kind of retool some things in my business. So I really appreciate that. I'm back and going strong, and we are going to be publishing a new Make It Happen Monday every single week. And I have some great, exciting content coming up for you. So I hope you'll hang in there with me for the rest of the year and really use the information that I provide you to go out there and market your business and become truly successful in everything you're doing, reaching more customers, getting more donations, selling more products. So, all right, enough of that. Let's dive right in. The very first topic that I want to talk about this year is Instagram stories. And this is a really popular trend in marketing. And it's a wonderful trend because it takes us back to the exposure and the excitement that we got when social media first came out. So if you haven't explored stories, or if you're brand new to it, or if you're a little worried about what stories might mean, or if you're a little disheartened with social media, I really want you to tune into this episode because I think that you will find what I'm going to tell you very exciting, and stories are easy to use, and maybe you've even tried them before, and if so, you're going to have a little review in this episode, but we'll get to the meat and bones of some cool things you can do with stories that maybe you haven't explored. All right, let's dive in. So what is a story? You'll have noticed that a lot of social media networks now are offering stories. Snapchat was actually the first network to offer stories, and they're a very personalized way to reach people. It's almost as personal as email. So it's a great way for marketers that are wanting to have a more intimate or personalized branded relationship with their followers. And that's where Snapchat kind of got on the bandwagon with it. Well, as soon as Snapchat saw success with it, other networks started to pick it up. And so Instagram was one of the very first ones that grabbed the story feature directly from Snapchat and started utilizing it. And then as Instagram started to see success, we started to see the story feature pop up in other places, namely Facebook, who owns Instagram. Then after that, we saw it really explode into other places as well. YouTube is now offering stories. I believe Twitter is exploring that. So there's a lot of this instant social media. So what this does is it takes away all of the craziness of the news feed, and it sort of places a more priority news feed up for people to be able to utilize. And since it is not utilized as much as the standard news feed, and the information tends to be temporary, that's all of what stories are about. They only really last about 24 hours on any of these networks. They are archived for you to use for the future for most of them, but the content itself disappears. So people want to see them more. They also tend not to have some of the craziness that we find in the regular news feed. Now, if that all went in one ear and out the other, don't worry. The basics of what you need to know here is stories do have a more intimate followership than what shows up in the main part of a social media channel. And part of that is because they're temporary. So they only last about 24 hours. They appear at the top of the newsfeed in a carousel in Instagram. Now, from here on, I'm only going to talk about Instagram. Maybe somewhere down the road, I'll dive into Facebook stories and YouTube stories. But for now, we're going to hang right with Instagram. So they appear at the top of the newsfeed in a carousel. Fresh stories do have a colored ring around them and are placed at the front of the carousel. So people get more of that intimate connection to know, oh, there's something new that I can watch. They also autoplay. So if you touch one, then the next one will come up immediately. So it's sort of like watching an automatic news feed, which can be really addicting. for your users. They're meant for quick moments and shares. They're not meant for really in-depth content. Maybe they can point to in-depth content, but they're not really meant for that in-depth content. They do have the possibility for interactions, which are amazing. You can ask questions or do polls. You can highlight a product that you might want to sell. And I have a part 2 that I'm going to present next week where we're going to talk a little bit more about that actual direct marketing and how to strategize that. This week, I just want you to get the hang of what stories are and the basics of how to use them. You can also promote a hashtag or even tag a user. So if you had a follower, now I'm going to say it has to be a follower that you wanted to highlight, maybe it was a customer and you wanted to highlight them, you can tag them in the story. You can include music, you can feature some fun video effects, and this does have the possibility to become an ad or sponsored content, so you can get more exposure based off of demographics, just like you would buy an ad regularly. This is how you post a story. You're going to tap your profile picture at the front of the story feed. So you're going to see a circle, and I'm going to show you some screenshots here in a moment of how to do this. Then you're going to take or add a photo or video or choose one from many options that you can be involved with getting stuff into your story. There's a ton of things you can do here that make it super fun, and you don't have to have a photo or a video to be able to do it, which for some people is a real boon when it comes to these stories. You can add fun interactions like questions. Those are tagged as something called stickers. More about that in a moment. Then you get to choose who sees the story or post it to everyone who follows you, so that feed, and then check back to see who's viewed your story. So 5 steps, ba-boom, you're using stories. So let's move on, break that down, and go step by step. So you're going to start in the far left-hand side of here, and you're going to just touch on your story. That's going to bring up your camera. Now, if you don't use Instagram regularly, I guess I needed to qualify all of this with it has to happen on your phone. So you're going to use your telephone. I love this picture that came up first on my news feed with the Charolais cows and this girl, Terry Cage Photography. The way to go with that. So that was really inspirational to see this morning. You see the stories kind of after my little face there poking out. You'll see the Texas Trick Riders, a couple of friends, Terry Cage, and then Bob's Custom Saddles. Those are all people and brands using that story's news feed. So you can see in the circles there. Once you touch your circle with the plus sign on it, then it does bring up your camera. And from there, you have a lot of different options. Starting in the upper left and working clockwise around this picture, we have settings and story controls in that little gear handle there. We have this greater than or less than, I can never remember which those are. That's your chicken exit, so you can get back out of what you're doing. Then if you go down the side there on the right-hand side, you will see a couple of icons. There's the face filter icon, there's the front-facing camera, then there's the shutter button in the middle, of course. Then you have your flash control. The little icon off to the left there will show you your camera roll. So that means you can go and grab a picture that you've previously taken and used that. I just used my coffee cup this morning sitting right on my desk. So that is a live picture of what my desk looks like. Then down at the bottom there, you'll see some different options. Now, way off to the left there, there's type. Then there's music, live, normal, boomerang, super focus. There's a whole bunch of little video-y type settings off to the right. So you can just use your finger and scroll through those to find one. And I encourage you to do that and press on some buttons. Until you actually hit the publish button, all of this is temporary. So you can play around with it all you want and then take the chicken exit if it's not something that you want to do. All right, moving on. If we were to scroll on that line that was down at the bottom, all of the way to the left, we would have type. Now, type does not mean we're going to type on the photo. That's a different setting. What this does is creates a type image. So in other words, you can put a quote in here, you can put a question, you can type a little story, whatever you want to put in there. And at the top where you see it says modern, you can change how it looks. And in the lower left, you see the little circle with the colors in it. You can change your colors. So you have a lot of control there. This is a lot of fun for those of you who don't want to always have a picture. It gives you an opportunity to put something with words into your story. The next option is music, and I'll leave that one for you to explore. Then there's a live option where you can use Instagram Live, which is really cool. Then you also have these video modes. And you're just going to have to experiment with those to see how they all work. I'm not going to go into all of them here. You can just take your camera, click on it, and experiment with it to see how each of those works. If you do click the gear in the upper left-hand corner, that's what the final screenshot or fourth screenshot all the way to the right is here. This goes over your story controls, and it allows you to choose the people if you want to hide this story from some people, if you want everyone to be able to see it, if you only want people you follow to be able to see it, if you'd want people to be able to share your story. So you have some really good settings here. There's even ones further down that ask you if you want to archive your story. Now, if you choose to move on with the original photo, and that's what I've done here, some additional controls will appear up at the very top of your screen. So from left to right, the arrow with the line under it is to download. The next one is the emoji. The next one is the sticker, which is the screenshot onto the right there. That allows you to do some things. I'm going to go over that a little bit more in a moment. Highlight and then add text. So when you click on the sticker does way more than just have a sticker. So it's kind of a misnomer. So we have a time there. We have Monday. We have the temperature. It's a little chilly here in Missouri today. Then we also have things like location, where you can geotag your image. You have mention, where you can tag a user or follower. You have the hashtag, which is what I chose. And then you can add your music here. You can add a poll, a question, a countdown, just a variety of things. And this is going to change dependent upon what moment you're using it. And then the final little texty thing there is where you can add text. So my final story this morning was my little tea fortune was in the beginning is you, in the middle is you, and the end is you. And for a Monday morning, I'm thinking, oh, good grief, I'm going to need a way lot more coffee to fulfill my little tea fortune for today. So once I have it done, I went ahead and put my Make It Happen Monday hashtag on there, and then I can choose to send it to very certain people, which is the send to, and then I can click on my story, which puts it into the news feed out there, and then I can also choose to put it on to close friends. So I have some options there. Now, the question feature I find especially interesting for marketing and for businesses. This gives you an opportunity to get to know your followers a little bit better. So I went ahead and broke out another Instagram account to just show you how that works. So when you press on, so I'm clicking on this questions sticker right here. Then that brings up the opportunity for me to type in, it'll say ask something to start off with. So this is It's for the Barn Artwork Instagram account. So what do you love about your barn? That would be something that I could use in my marketing. So what do you love about the barn? I'm going to post that into my story when I receive it. Whoops, let's go on back here. When I receive it as a user, so this third image here is actually me getting it as Kimberly Beer, I can type in a response and then I send it back. And when I get it, you'll see my little picture here tells me that that's been seen by one and that I can view the responses. So this is back on my It's for the Barn account. So this one is me looking as a user as Kimberly Beer, and then this is the responses. And if you click on that, then it lets you see the responses, which is a really another cool feature of stories, is that once you go back and you look at your story on your account that you've already published, it'll show you who's seen it. So that gives you an opportunity to know how much you're getting reached, which is something that doesn't always happen elsewhere, because you don't know someone has seen or interacted with your content unless they like it or actually interact in a way you can follow. Here, you can see how many people have watched your story. So it gives you an opportunity to find out a little bit more about your marketing. So your assignment for this week is to share a story at least 3 times. So go on your Instagram account. I don't care if you haven't used it for a year. Just go ahead and do this and just practice it and see if it's something that might work for you. Make at least one of those 3 stories interactive with a question or a poll. Do something that is going to get you to see if there's some response out there. Now, if you don't have very many Instagram followers, you maybe only have 4 Instagram followers, don't take this to heart and think that that's going to be the way that it's going to be for your entire marketing program if you really utilize this channel. But it'll at least give you an idea of what that interaction might feel like. And if you have a user base or a follower base, this is a really good opportunity for you to see if this is going to work for you. Now, next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some great strategies for how you might use Instagram stories in your marketing, realizing that a lot of people who follow me are service-oriented businesses as well as product folks. So we're going to look at both what it might feel like to promote a product and also what it might feel like to have a more intimate connection with your user base by maybe doing something that supports your service-oriented business. All right, have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.